Hey, Leslie and Kamari, how are you? Just thought I'd give you a video here to kind of keep you in the loop of what's going on in class. Um, we've been talking lately about theme. And I know, Leslie, I think you've heard some of that, but Kamari, I don't think you've really heard much of any of it. So let's just talk about theme. I have a little bulletin board here in Seesaw. Here it is. What is theme? Bring this up. So what is theme? Theme, it's a message or an idea that the writer wants his readers to think about. It's whatever the writer's writing, whether it's a poem or a book, a story, a play, there's might be some idea that the writer wants the reader to think about. Like if you remember this book, Tucky, Joe, and Little Heart, definitely, I would say one of the themes he wants you to think about, like a common theme, is like friendship. There's definitely a theme of friendship between Tucky Joe and the little girl in Little Heart, like that. And then also there's a theme of courage in here, as he had to be brave when he has to fight in the war. Okay, so that's an example of some themes in this book. And then also, sometimes the theme is stated really clearly in the text. The writer tells you what the theme is, what he wants you to learn. He says it clearly. But then other times, and I think most times, it's something you have to make an inference about. He doesn't say it explicitly. You have to get clues from the text and figure out what is it that he's trying to say. And then you find the theme that way. And then also many times the theme is like a lesson that the writer wants the readers to learn. Again, like in here, I think one of the lessons he wanted you to learn is that war is not like some exciting adventure like a movie. It's actually very horrible, very terrifying. And it can really, remember the soldiers after being in war all these years, their eyes are all droopy and they just look like they're in shock. So that's an example of maybe a lesson that the writer wants you to learn from the story. So let's go to this next page and talk about some of the common themes that we see in lots of stories. Like friendship is definitely a theme we see in many stories. Family relationships, the way brothers and sisters, how you have to deal with each other, and sometimes you get along, sometimes you don't. That's a very common theme. Being brave, courage, that's a very common thing. Good versus evil, very common theme, right? And look at all the Marvel movies. It's good versus evil constantly in those movies. That's the theme. Coming of age, anything where there's the main character is a child, is a kid, and they're going through experiences. Those are all part of coming of age, of growing up. So anytime experiences that a kid has, it's all part of growing up. So that coming of age is a big time theme for a lot of books that have kids in them. And then personal identity, being sure of yourself, deciding who you are, and you don't, whether or not you want to be like other people or just want to be like yourself, understanding who we are as we grow up, and then not giving up, that's a real common theme. Lots of times in stories, characters face hardship and difficulty, and then they stick with whatever they're trying to do. So that's a not giving up, perseverance. These are all very common themes, and there's more, and then sometimes you come to themes that are more specific to certain books. Like I said in Tucky, Joe, and Little Heart, I think one of the themes that the writer really wants to get across is the horrors of war, just how horrible it is, and that's not, a common theme. Lights just went out. That's not like a theme you're going to see in lots of stories all over the place, but in very specific stories like Tucky, Joe, and Little Heart, you'll see that. And then like a book we read yesterday, I Am Not a Number, is about this little Native American girl who is treated very badly by people. And that could be a common theme, mistreatment of Native Americans, or life as an immigrant, like from Pepe the Lamplighter, or fame. We're reading the book, Who Was Elvis Presley? And one of the big things we're going to talk about is how being famous would made his life really hard. So that could be a theme, dealing with fame. So these are more specific themes that you might not see, as often. They're real specific stories, right? So These are just themes that you could think about, real specific ones. These are the real common ones that you'll see in many stories, right? So what I want you to do is take a look here. There's an assignment for you to do in Seesaw. Let's go to the activities. Not word problems. This one, not poems. This one, finding theme, little brother. All right. So in this assignment, you read this passage called Little Brother, and then you have some questions to answer. And one of them is about theme. What's the theme or message the author would like you to learn from this story? Okay. So think about that and then answer these other questions too. The best way to answer this is just to type up a text box and just put it in there. Kind of shrink it down, so that it fits. So that is something, Leslie and Kamari, that you can work. Oh, Kamari, you already did it. Well, we'll see how you did. Hopefully it makes sense to you, even though you weren't able to hear this lesson. But you hear this lesson, Kamari, you might want to go in and check your assignment again to see if you want to change it maybe. Okay. So anyway, that's what we've been talking about, reading, theme. Hopefully this makes sense to you. Leslie, if you could please work on that assignment, I'd appreciate it. All right. Talk to you later.